Hey everybody, Movie Review Next Door here, back with another review. This time I saw Sin City. Oh, damn it. Sometimes the lighting messes up on this camera. This is an action crime film directed by Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller, and Quentin Tarantino from 2005, and it stars Bruce Willis, Jessica Alba, Clive Owen, Mickey Rourke, and Benicio del Toro. In this film, welcome to Sin City. This town beckons to the tough, the corrupt, the broken-hearted. Some call it dark, uh, hard-boiled. Then there are others who call it home. Crooked cops, sexy dames, desperate vigilantes. Some are seeking revenge, others lust after redemption, and then there are those hoping for a little of both. A universe of unlikely and reluctant heroes still trying to do the right thing in a city that refuses to care. So, what did I think of Sin City? I really enjoyed it. That's not an unpopular opinion to have. Um, I have a couple things that I'm not huge on within the film, or that I'm not as big on other things, because this is a very close 9 to being a 10, but I just have a couple annoyances, to be honest. Um, but yeah, let me get into the cast. Bruce Willis plays Detective John Hartigan. He's a detective framed for assaulting a young girl, and he basically is trying to get revenge on the people who put him there. Well, most likely, pretty much the entire system that's done this to him. Uh, Bruce Willis, I think, does a great job in this role. I think well, this was back before he started dealing with the effects of aphasia. Um, and the sequel, it's after he was starting to have some of those effects, which sucks. But I'm still curious to see how the story goes. Um, but I still like Bruce Willis in this film. I think he does a good job with the emotion that he needs. Jessica Alba plays Nancy Callahan. She's the young girl rescued at the very beginning, and she basically comes more into the story in the last story. I like Jessica Alba. I've always I feel like ever since seeing Awake, I've felt like giving her more of a second chance because I've seen her not act well in some things, but I do think she's a pretty decent enough actress. Clive Owen plays Dwight McCarthy. He's a cop who basically gets caught up with this girl played by Brittany Murphy, who's um kind of a part of the he's kind of part of the or she is a part of these girls who are in this other town, Old Town, that basically run it. Kind of confusing. I like Clive Owen a lot. I think he does a great job in this. Um, Mickey Rourke plays Marv. He's the main character of the first. Uh, well, I'll get into that, but he plays Marv. I think Mickey Rourke does a decent enough job with this character. I kind of wish it was somebody other than Mickey Rourke because this was around the time he wasn't giving as much of a shit with his performances, and you can kind of tell in certain parts of the first. But I still think he kind of works as that buff or gruff, brutal type character. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of people in this. And just listing off names, this film has so many people in it. You got Bruce Willis, Jessica Alba, Clive Owen, Mickey Rourke, Rutger Hauer, I love him, Benicio del Toro, Alexis Bledel, Michael Madsen, Powers Booth, Nick Stahl, Devin Aoki, Michael Clark Duncan, Rosario Dawson, Carla Gugino, Josh Hartnett, Jamie King, Brittany Murphy, Elijah Wood. Just so Tommy Flanagan appears, Nikki Cat. Like there's a ton of people in this. Apparently Nick Offerman at some point. I didn't even recognize him. But here's the thing about this. This is an anthology. It's different stories from the Sin City comics. I never read the Sin City comics personally, but one thing I can definitely get behind is the style that this film goes for with its visuals, the kind of washed out look that it has, the black and white. There's whenever there's bursts of color, there's a reason in the story for there to be that. I'm guessing that's the way it is in the comic. That would make sense. Um, but yeah, you've got three stories. You've got The Hard Goodbye, um, which is Marv's story. You have The Big Fat Kill, which is Clive Owen's story, and you have The Yellow Bastard. Um, and yeah, and you have kind of a beginning and ending bit with Josh Hartnett, um, which I'll get to that. But as an anthology, what did I think of the stories? Well, okay, it's kind of hard to call the Josh Hartnett thing a story. It's more of just an intro and outro to the film. As an intro and outro, I think it works very well. It gets across the emotions it's supposed to. It's a hitman going to eliminate someone. Um, and I think it, in both cases, worked very well. I thought the emotions worked. And I think Josh Hartnett plays a good hitman. This is kind of a role I'm guessing was part of inspiration of him taking Lucky Number 11. Still haven't seen, but I've heard great things about it. Um, you've got The Hard Goodbye, which is Marv's story, Mickey Rourke's, which is my least favorite, but I still like it. I still enjoy it, but I think that the way it ends is a bit anticlimactic in a way. Um, I know I was expecting a bit more to happen, but yeah, I guess just not a thing. I don't know. Maybe it makes more sense in the comics, but I just wasn't. I didn't love the first story. The second story, The Big Fat Kill, I really like a lot of the directions it goes with Clive Owen's character. I like that he's kind of got a bit of a screw loose in a way. Um, Also, I'm trying not to do a spoiler review of this movie because I do think that if no ever anyone's thought of like watching this, if you're into like crime movies and comic book movies in general, I think you'll be really into this. Um, but yeah, he gets caught and there's like this group of prostitutes that runs this town called Old Town. They're trained in killing. The main thing they're looking to do is make money by um, you know, being prostitutes. And if somebody fucks with them, they'll shoot them. And I thought it was an interesting thing. Um, Again, Clive Owen does a great job leading this story. You've got people like Rosario Dawson, Alexis Bledel, um, Devin Aoki, who doesn't say anything, but it works for her character. Um, you've also got Brittany Murphy, which I didn't realize she was in it until I watched this. Which that was again, rest in peace, Brittany Murphy. Um, you also got Benicio del Toro, who I think is an acting highlight of the second story. I've always really enjoyed Benicio del Toro as an actor, and I do think he can play a very terrifying villain. Um, even, well, I'm not giving that away, but like I do think he can be very threatening, and yeah, I thought the way the story went was pretty interesting. The way it ended was very satisfying, and the second story was my favorite. And that yellow bastard, there's a bit of an intro with Bruce Willis's character being injured, and it continues at the end of the film, which I'm guessing is because they wanted Bruce Willis to be the big finale. And while I don't like it as much as The Big Fat Kill, I do still really enjoy it. I think, again, Bruce Willis does a great job. Powers Booth was an imposing presence for the one scene he's in. Um, Again, Jessica Alba, I think, works very well for playing the little girl at the beginning. They picked a really good young actress who, again, gets some moments to shine. Um, your villain in the second half. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the villain in the first half is fucking that killed um Jamie King's character is played by Elijah Wood, whose dad is played by Rutger Hauer. I thought Elijah Wood and Rutger Hauer did great. Rutger Hauer doesn't do a lot, but he's still nice to see. But here, your villain is played by Nick Stahl, who is the yellow bastard after having his dick blown off basically by John Hardigan. And he's a disgusting villain that you want to die. Nick Stahl plays that very well. And yeah, it's overall a very well made. It's definitely a beautiful movie still. Given that this is almost 2 decades old, this film came out in 2005. It looks this fucking good 19 years later. The backgrounds, the green screen works very well for the most part. It's it's again, it's even if you just watch this for the visuals, it's fucking worth it. Oh, and I forgot to mention, because there is a director's cut out there, I did not watch the director's cut. From what I've heard, a lot of the added scenes don't add anything, and actually a lot of the extra runtime is the credits playing after every story, and also every story plays sequentially, which is the way that it's framed in the movie actually works a lot better. And scenes that played kind of out of order, but making sense to like go between characters actually made sense. So I chose to watch the cut that's on this Blu-ray from Alliance with all these other movies, which again, if you're wondering, favorite comic book movie ever, Punisher 2004, love The Crow, love Kick-Ass. There. And my camera's messing up again. But yeah. Um the score was done by a couple people. There's John Debney, Graham Revell, and Robert Rodriguez. I think all three of them do great jobs. The film has a very nice score to it. Um, uh, Freaking, I don't know who directed which part of the film, but yeah, I think the direction is very nice in the film. It's very clean, very stylish, has a lot of that comic book flair, and yes, when people reviewed this saying it's like a comic book come to life, they were 100% right. It's very comic book come to life. Um, Even with some of the crazy physics at times, kind of reminded me a bit of Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow. People call me crazy, but I personally like Sky Captain: The World of Tomorrow better than this. I know, but I don't know, just something about that. I know it's also kind of more of a family film when this is kind of a hard-boiled crime drama, but I loved the way that film did the visuals. I loved how exciting it was. Um, and yeah, but I still do really enjoy this film. Don't get me wrong. It's just kind of a childhood classic thing. I did kind of recently watch that, and I still love it. But yeah, um, also the action, I think it's this isn't really an action-packed movie. It's more going for a neo-noir type thing, which is fine. The action where it is well done enough. Um, Again, the main issue that I have with it is that the first story I think ends kind of abruptly, the first full story, and I'm not as huge on the whole like I'm just not as huge on the ending of the first story as a lot of people are. A lot of people love the character of Marv. I kind of enjoy him, but I do think Mickey Rourke's performance is one of the weaker ones of the film. And yeah, mainly my main thing is that if the first film or if the first story was as good as the rest of them, I'd give this a 10, but I'm still giving it a really high 9. But yeah, that was my review of Sin City. If you've seen the film, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, put them down there as well. And movie reviewer next door out.